few hours later, I went to check on him, and he had actually passed away in his sleep. Then I was not only dealing with the shock of what happened, but also I was in this house that is over 30 years old and had issues.
Hey, I'm Mac Mayer. Thanks for joining us today. I'm glad you could tune in. We appreciate church leaders, pastors tuning in. And you know, if you're like me as a pastor, I feel like I'm called to steward our congregation. But I also know that things happen in our congregation that I don't always have the answer to. And people go through a lot of life situations. There's a lot of curveballs out there. And how do we facilitate answers and bring peace into people's lives? Today we want to bring one of those answers. We want to share that with you. And I've got a good friend of mine, Miss Holly, and thanks for joining us today, Holly.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Holly, you had kind of a situation happen in your life, very unexpected. Can you tell us a little bit, set that up for us, what happened, and give us a little background?
So my dad and I didn't have the greatest relationship. At one point we became sort of estranged, and I hadn't been around him too much in about 22 years.
Wow. 22 years of separation.
22 years of not really being around each other. I was in Texas and he was up here in Idaho.
Okay.
So not much of seeing each other, so not much of a relationship. So I wanted to reestablish a relationship with him and have a dad again.
Good.
So, and he was really eager about me coming up here because he wanted he wanted his daughter again.
All right.
So I moved up and stayed with him, moved into his house so I could get established up here. And he actually became fairly sick within a short amount of time.
Okay.
And actually, he was having heart problems and was going into heart failure. And so,
Did you know that was happening?
I knew it was happening. I knew he was sick, but, you know, with parents, you think they're going to live forever.
Yeah.
As their kids, you think they're going to live forever, but of course, they're not in this life. So I was aware that it was going on and that he wasn't feeling well, but I didn't think that it would lead to anything dire.
Right.
So he came back from the doctor one afternoon, and laid down to take a nap, which I thought was awesome because he was really struggling for sleep.
Okay.
He'd be constantly up every other hour, so he wasn't getting any rest. So he laid down and went to take a nap, and I thought it was great. And you know, a few hours later, I went to check on him, and he had actually passed away in his sleep. Yeah, so he passed away, which was such a great shock that I couldn't even really remember how to dial 911.
Yeah, I'm sure your whole brain is like, what just happened?
Scrambled, like, is this real life? You know,
Right.
I dialed 911 as soon as I was able to remember how. Once I got off of the phone with the 911 operator, I got into contact with you.
Yeah.
And you guys showed up and helped me through the process of the police and the paramedics and the coroner and then the funeral home finally several hours later.
Right.
So then I was not only dealing with the shock of what happened, but also I was in this house that is over 30 years old and had issues, which weren't really issues when he was alive because
he knew how to fix the issues.
He was an engineer, so an engineer for Micron for decades. And not only did he know how to fix things, but he was kind of unconventional.
Okay.
And that's just the light way to put it. He was unconventional, so he could figure out ways to make things work.
Okay, that were unconventional.
That were unconventional.
Keep things working. He had the knack to working. Yeah, okay.
But we had a problem because he passed away at the end of June, so it was getting really hot and the air conditioner didn't really work. So, of course, I have no engineering skills whatsoever. I didn't know how to fix any of this stuff. It would get unbearably hot to the point that you couldn't really even sleep very well in the house, or you'd be waking up every other hour. I got a hold of you again.
Right. So let me set this up. So here you're going through this. You're trying to reestablish a relationship with your dad.
Right.
He's separated for many years. You finally get to that. You're on the verge of rebuilding that relationship.
Yes.
You walk in, life happens, a terrible situation where you discover your dad's passed away. And then I've got this house. How do I facilitate making this work? A strange house, strange environment, strange town. And it's not a strange town, it's a nice town. But, and so how do we facilitate that? So obviously you reached out to me. And pastors, this was so powerful because, obviously we don't like to hear these situations with people in our congregation, but they happen all the time, way too often. And so for me, I just know, look, I know a group of guys, men and women, that have a background in trades that are very skilled, that I've sent out to many, many homes in a similar situation to Holly, and it's called Handy Helpers. We've got an amazing leader. It's an amazing group of people. So instead of going crazy and like, look, I don't know how to fix air conditioning either. So I couldn't help her. But calling these people on the phone and they're like, Mac will take care of it. She won't have any problems. We'll go in there and make sure everything works great. And to give me that piece that I know I can trust these people and they're a great resource. So they came over, Holly, and what happened?
So they came over and they had to do a good look around of the house.
Right.
Because even when they looked around to see what had been jerry-rigged by my dad, they had to look at it and go, okay, how did he do this? Let's kind of backwards work this and see what he did. So they had to fix it, but fix it better to get things working properly. So they got my air conditioning situation resolved.
Okay.
But not only did they do that, they noticed that my toilet was running.
Okay.
So without me even asking, they fixed the toilet.
They fixed the toilet. Toilets are good to have working.
Right.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, I fixed the toilet. Is there anything else wrong in this house that we could look at? I'm like, well, the bathtub doesn't drain like it's supposed to.
Okay.
So they fixed the bathtub.
Wow.
They installed a new thermostat for the heat and air conditioning.
So Holly, how'd this make you feel to have, you're going through this traumatic time, how'd this make you feel?
So it was really comforting, and it was a load off of my shoulders because we had so much to think about. I mean, processing that Dad had passed away, and now we had all this estate stuff that needed to be settled.
Right.
So
tons of questions are coming at you, tons of things to handle.
yes, processes that we were having to learn.
Yeah.
So it took a load off of our shoulders, and not only that, but I just lost one dad,
Right.
but then I felt like I had gained 3 or 4 other dads
Oh, nice.
that I could call and say, this is broken, can you help me fix
help
it?
me. Yeah.
So I gained a family, in essence, through this ministry
Awesome.
that I could call
Wow.
and didn't have to worry about anything.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that you've got that maybe you can share on how meaningful the Handy Helpers were, or how they were able to support you during this time?
No, they're just really good, God-fearing, God-honoring men that no one should hesitate to call if they need help. I mean, they ask lots of thorough questions to make sure to get down to the problem and to make sure the process can be handled as well as it can be handled.
Yeah.
They're very respectful because they're coming into your living space.
Yeah.
And they love your pets. It's really fun to watch them come
They
in
interacted,
and they
yeah.
want to play with my cats and watch these grown handy helpers kind of turn into boys because they want to
Yeah.
play with your animals.
Oh, wow.
So they're just great. They're great guys that no one should hesitate to reach out to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, Holly, thanks for, sorry, man, that's very, I know it's tough losing a dad, and I know that's a challenging time of life, but it is neat that you were able to have other people there to connect with, men and women, to really kind of help you move through this, navigate those areas. I know my wife just adores you, and so it's, I'm glad that we could be part of this journey.
I adore her and you.
Yeah. Well, good. Hey, thanks for joining us today. You probably know other people that have skill sets that can be utilized for the kingdom of God, that those skill sets can be an answer to maybe somebody's situation like Holly's. Now, part of the Handy Helpers, we've done an interview with John Minnan of the Handy Helpers and the team he's established. So look for that episode also. Like and share this. Share it with people that this would be a help to. We appreciate any of your comments. And also, if you're in church leadership, you know that people are going to be experiencing these same type of problems. And once again, it'd be great to put these, to activate these people in advance so that they can be the answer to somebody else. So I hope this has been beneficial to you, and we look forward to sharing more of God's goodness with our community and how to do that. Holly, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for sharing your powerful story.
Yes, thank you for having me.